up to 84. So that was the confrontation about sharing relationships. Really, at the very beginning of that, until 1970, Taiwan was considered Japan. It was considered to be the representative of China in the world, and mainland China wasn't acknowledged at all. In 1970, Trudeau acknowledged the mainland China, so did America. Everyone had to let them. And since then, China's become, by the time we got finished with here, 1984, China was starting to be a major player in the world. It started to have influence and energy to change the nature of Japan. They changed the nature of commerce in the world because the balance of population was aligned to be more true, although it was challenging. So it challenged relationships, it challenged, and again, we saw two marriages, fears of marriages, fears of not marriage, sign the prenup, don't sign a prenup, who are you with, what's real, what's not, how long do you put up with it? This is all the Pluto in Libra, but it's a projected, it's cardinal sign. So anyone who has the Pluto in any of these signs, they're driving, that fear is driving them, that confrontation to establish that power, to get that truth, is a driving truth that forces issues, it forces a loss of innocence and a waking up to truth. And in the end, the issue is who controlled this, or is there a God or isn't there? What's true here? But certainly, Pluto and Libra, the disenchantment about relationships happened. The breakdown of old familial or family structures, the traditional structures of the Pluto and Cancer group were threatened, and the Pluto and Libra group came in, changing, that whole system was changing. So, okay, but when you see the Pluto, it's there for everyone. When it lines up to another planet, makes that, or it's in a certain house, you're going to see this shadow, this harshness, this element is going to be there in that house, and it's going to come from whatever aspects it makes. So there's pieces around this picture, but you get a sort of ominous sense behind it of where Pluto would be. So anybody in this class I got the Pluto in Leo. There's going to be with Pluto in Virgo, Pluto in Libra, Pluto in Scorpio. You know, so someone has to be pretty young to get the Pluto in Sag was started in, one second. Yeah, Pluto Sag was 95, 96. So yeah, there's people now, there could be people in the class now that even have Pluto in Capricorn. But no one has the Pluto in Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini right now, or even Cancer probably. That's done. These are the people that are alive at different ages. You see the different ages have their different stances. When you look just at Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and you're looking at generational influences and you want to look at history, this is a wonderful way to do it. But history is the result of everybody's individual story. Okay, so when we get to the fixed signs, there's a tendency to resist change, to be afraid that things are going to stay the same forever, or to have to hold on to what's yours and hold on to what you sure has to be there when the world is changing and it's not maintaining. It's threatened on the outside and it's imposed on the inside. So these people want to create fixed situations. Their fear of something being too fixed, their fear of it not being able to change, but they're also fixed in the way that they are. I'm going to have this. So the fixity anchors the fear into one place. It almost crystallizes it. And so the Pluto and Leo generation, heck, they grew up. What happened? By the time they're older, all their kids are caught up in drug scandals and sex scandals. The whole world is functioning so differently than any of the principles of the Pluto and Leo generation. It just changed. It's not going back to that. It'll come around to that at another time, over every 200 and some odd years. So nobody's life lives a whole Pluto cycle, or Neptune cycle for that matter. We do live one Uranus cycle. So the fixed Leo, my kids, my education, I gotta be the best. This is the way I always had it. So it started off with the silent movies and the movies with Pluto and Leo and the visual technology. Wow, that visual technology, everyone was proud to be part of it. They were being the stars and everything. Now we got, when Pluto and Scorpio was all the scandals and all the sexual things, it was the more intense rock and roll type things. But these people grew up and ran into this, and as it's coming along, all of these generational factors run into each other, and their fears collide with each other. So what's fearful when Pluto's in Leo is going to be contrary to what's fearful. What's showy is going to be very showy, but proud. But when it's Scorpio, your fear over AIDS, over life, over touching, over trust, wow, it's a different fear than the fear over glory. So the glorious acting out ones are going to be confronted by the private, trust, sensitive, trustworthy ones. So the trustworthy ones, weak and trustworthy, you can't trust a Leo. So you can get back to basic sun sign challenges, but you're adding this fear element, this confrontation element, this harshness inside of it. But you can't be too harsh on yourself for what you have, because everybody your age has it. Everyone you went to school has it. It's only a little more dramatic when Pluto's changing signs. The teachers will see it most by the time the kids get into school, 5 or 6 years old. One group of one year Pluto's in one sign, and the next year it's not. So 6 years later, when the kids get to grade school, they're totally different attitudes and ways of having to teach. But these fears are going to be blocks, phobias, fears, fixations. Fear of not having money, of not being beautiful enough, fear of having to be beautiful enough with Pluto and Taurus, Scorpio, business, Pluto and Scorpio, business, trust, exchange, Pluto, of course, education, knowledge. Well, we got to see Pluto in Capricorn now. You'd think everybody in the world would be getting educated, but there's an awful lot of people fighting in war zones, kids not being educated, and you're going to see the struggle to try and get some basic education for everybody as Pluto comes through Aquarius. But the fixed knowledge, I know what I know, it has to be this way. There's going to be a kind of fanatical fixity of these generations. And like I said, it's there. It's sort of subliminally waiting there for an excuse to show. When something comes up, you meet someone who's got, say you just have Pluto and Leo, or say you have Pluto and Scorpio, and it's just going along, you're just living your own life. Then you meet a Scorpio, or someone's got their moon on top of your Pluto. You're going to start feeling the effects of this Pluto. That person's going to be tuning into it. So that Pluto energy is going into your fear and confrontation, but it's affecting anyone else who's trying to get close to you too. So again, it's enough to wonder about it, think about it, wonder about it. There's going to be a tension. Oh, it's this, it's that. You're going to get judgments like that as you're looking at this, and get them, and they'll pass. There'll be other ones too. But don't get too rigid. That's why you do each of these layers and look at them and see them coming through. When we get to the mutable signs, these are people where the fear is that everything's changing too much. The understanding of transforming, it has to go this way. We have to change everything this way. Or everything's changing this way. How do we adjust? Or too many things are changing. How do we get any control? So the mutable signs are always trying to understand, and there are always different ways to understand. Some ways you have to understand and learn things. Some ways you don't want to do what you have to understand. It can be think for yourself or whatever. But there's power struggles in one's perceptions and understanding of things. And there's a multiple choice. There's many choices around the Pluto and the mutable sign, but the fears around that. The Pluto and Virgo is through it's hard. Again, when I'm trying to get examples, you almost have to take individual cases and go through it, and each Pluto, each sign, you have to pull up the people around it and give the examples of it and extend it much further. So I haven't evolved my classes that far to have that kind of content or do the work to add that kind of contact in for each of these, but that would be the next level of research to do. I don't know if I'll get to it in my lifetime. But the Pluto challenges knowledge and understanding, perceptions, adaptability, maybe there's confrontations on immigration, and or on just on learning. Maybe you have to learn a different language, or just the diversity of things what one has to do, what one's allowed to do, what one's not allowed to do. When Pluto's in Gemini, I got to have knowledge, I got to be able to speak, I got to do things, and what's stopping me? I got to work at things. I know what's right. I know, so I got to fix things. So some people will have that Pluto and work to really be creative and build things. Some people will feel it. Well, it comes out as a worry. Every one of these things being built is a threat to our health. And as analyzer, I can have a fear that builds up all the Virgo things. And the same with the Sag, the power struggles of how things should be done, and the blocks around what others are doing and where one's aligned to. So it's multiple choice fears. It's multiple fears and blocks in the mutable signs. It's not just one place. It's from everywhere. Which way do you turn? No matter what you do, someone's going to blame you. That's very different from the fixed and very different from the cardinal. So this is the main thing is just a sense. When Pluto's in a place, in a sign, it's going to be in each of these categories, and it'll be unique to those categories. Because when you're saying mutable, that's very different than anytime you want to see it better, you compare. Well, we got Pluto in the Virgo. Someone's also got it in Libra. Someone's got it in Scorpio, and you think, wow, they're totally different types of fears or blocks or challenges. It's not wrong to be afraid. It's wrong to let your fears control your life. Many times we have to take a stand when we fight fears. And when we fight our fears, you have to let the chips fall where they may. You may win, you may lose, but sometimes you have to take a stand. That's Pluto. The Pluto comes in and gives it's in a degree in your chart in a certain sign. It's sort of saying, this is your stand for this lifetime. Then it will move around. There'll be other type of Plutonian challenges, but you have a predisposition. And this is what we're beginning to tune into. Can't look for sympathy where Pluto is. You can't look for kindness where Pluto is. You know, you can't look. You just got to look for what's true, what's matter of fact, what will solve this. What do I have to face? Okay, when we go to the elements, we're seeing, again, the attitude, the fire element coming on Pluto. Fire is the will to act. I want to be active, I want to do. Pluto is the fear of action and having to enforce action, and don't mess with my action, or this is how it has to go. I'm doing this. Don't stop me now. So there's a projective adrenaline of fear and power and control. So that can work out in sports and other things, but it's going to be happening in the world, and the Pluto in those signs is going to have a harshness around the Aries impulse and use of energy, the Leo pride. All of these are going to have pride, and wars can happen on pride, confrontations over pride, who's best, who's not. If someone's either with you or they're against you. I'm doing things or someone's stopping me. Just these issues will come up in fiery ways, about pride, about being noble. I have fears to face. I have to take a noble stance to this. Or if I'm taking a cowardly stance to it, it's really going to bug me. That fear is the confrontation will come over having done that.